It's March 11th, 2026, and what I'm about to reveal to you today challenges everything we thought we knew about the universe. For centuries, we've adhered to the laws of physics, relying on the models we've constructed and tested in the laboratory. We've looked at stars, galaxies, black holes, and the fabric of space itself. But today, an event occurred that not only defies these laws, but shakes the foundation of everything we've studied. At 4 UTC this morning, an object in our solar system, known as 3I Atlas, was roughly the size of Earth. Fast forward just 1 hour, and by 5 UTC, this object had expanded to a size so massive, it surpassed even the size of Jupiter, with its coma growing to a diameter of 1.5 million kilometers. Yes, you heard that right. In just 60 minutes, this object didn't just grow, it exploded outward, faster and larger than we could have ever predicted. Now, let me step back for a moment. I'm Michio Kaku, a theoretical physicist who spent a lifetime studying the farthest reaches of science, from black holes to the multiverse. Throughout my career, I've dealt with the impossible. But this is no theory or mathematical puzzle. What I'm about to describe is unfolding right now, in real time, and it's happening inside our very own solar system. To put this into perspective, let's think about something simple. Imagine you're watching a pot of water just sitting there, but instead of heating up or undergoing any chemical change, the water expands to fill the entire room in the blink of an eye. That's the kind of scale we're dealing with here. 240 million kilometers away from Earth, NASA's Deep Space Network was the first to detect this anomaly, and initially, they thought it was just a glitch, a sensor error, in one of their deep space antennas in Canberra. But then the Subaru telescope in Hawaii confirmed it. What they were seeing was no glitch. Something far more profound was happening. The coma, the cloud of gas surrounding 3I Atlas, was expanding at a rate of 400 kilometers per second. And that's not just fast, that's explosive. But what's even more baffling is that this expansion wasn't chaotic like we would expect from a comet. This was controlled. This was perfect, spherical symmetry. It's as if something or someone was carefully guiding this expansion, ensuring it took place with incredible precision. Now, think about the amount of energy required to make that happen. To take billions of tons of matter and accelerate it that quickly, uniformly, without any external heat or force. That's an energy source we just don't have an explanation for, at least not in the context of a standard comet. Normally, when a comet moves through space, it sublimates, its ice turns into gas in a messy, chaotic manner, which gets stretched out into a long, thin tail due to solar wind. But 3I Atlas is different. The cloud surrounding it is not stretching out, it's maintaining its shape. This is something we've never seen before. In fact, this event has made 3I Atlas the largest structure in the inner solar system aside from the Sun itself. And all of this expansion happened in just 1 hour, roughly the same time it would take you to watch a TV show. So, when scientists began analyzing the data, the implications became clear. If a celestial object like this can change its size and shape by such a massive amount in such a short time, it's no longer behaving like any comet we've studied before. This changes how we track and understand its interaction with solar radiation. The object is no longer behaving as a simple, predictable comet. We are dealing with something completely new, and this marks a turning point in our understanding of space. And this is just the beginning. What I'm about to show you next will explain why this event is sending shockwaves through the scientific community. What appears to be a simple growth spurt in a distant object is actually a signal, one that could have profound implications. We've never seen anything like it. Stay tuned, because the next part will reveal the truth about what 3I Atlas really is and why we should be worried. This isn't just a strange comet anymore, it's something much more. So, what makes 3I Atlas so unusual? Before today, we thought we had a pretty good understanding of what it was. Discovered in late 2025, it was cataloged as a standard hyperbolic comet. It was essentially a frozen rock, about 15 kilometers in diameter, entering our solar system from deep interstellar space. To put it simply, it was a predictable comet, following a straightforward trajectory. Its orbit was boring, its path clear, and everything seemed typical. But at 4:12 UTC on March 10, 2026, that predictability died. The first sign that something was wrong didn't come from a visual anomaly, it came from a gravitational shift. The Deep Space Network's antenna in Madrid, part of NASA's worldwide network, detected a massive and unexpected change in the Doppler shift of the return signal. Normally, when a comet outgasses and releases gas, it creates a tiny non-gravitational acceleration, just enough to push the object in space by a tiny fraction. Typically, this push is about 0.000001 meters per second squared, essentially negligible. But this time, 3I Atlas was different. The Doppler shift indicated an instantaneous velocity change of 2.4 kilometers per second. This was no small push. This was more akin to the ignition of a rocket engine. Imagine a massive rock 240 million kilometers away, accelerating faster than the most powerful chemical rockets we've ever built. And it did so instantly. Some skeptics may suggest that this could be some kind of sensor error, but science demands verification. It demands redundancy. And that's exactly what happened here. The European Space Agency's Gaia spacecraft, which is mapping the galaxy, independently confirmed the astrometric shift in 3I Atlas's position within just 0.03 arcseconds. The Subaru telescope in Hawaii also cross-referenced the optical brightening, further supporting the findings. 3 independent sources, each using different methods, came to the same conclusion. This wasn't a glitch. This wasn't a mistake. This was a physical event of massive scale and power. So, what did this mean? It meant that 3I Atlas was not just a typical comet anymore. Something had happened, something powerful enough to completely alter its trajectory and motion. But this wasn't the only strange anomaly to surface. Just 30 minutes later, at 4:45 UTC, things got even weirder. As if the previous event wasn't enough, 30 minutes later, the coma, the massive cloud of gas surrounding 3I Atlas, continued to expand, surpassing Jupiter in size. Now, let's pause for a moment to understand why this expansion is so extraordinary. According to standard thermodynamics, when gas expands rapidly in the vacuum of space, it should cool down instantly. In fact, it should drop to nearly absolute zero in an incredibly short time. But that's not what happened. The James Webb Space Telescope, using its advanced infrared capabilities, pointed directly at the center of the expanding cloud. The data that came back was shocking. The core temperature of the object didn't drop as expected, it spiked. In fact, it reached 800 Kelvin, or 500 degrees Celsius. To put this into context, in the vacuum of space, far from the warmth of the sun, comets are typically frozen solid at around negative 200 degrees Celsius. So how is it possible for an object that was essentially frozen to suddenly heat up to 500 degrees Celsius? The energy required to do that is staggering. We're talking about terawatts of power, more energy than the entire nuclear arsenal of the planet Earth, released in just 1 hour. This kind of energy cannot come from a typical comet. A comet is made of frozen ice and rock. It doesn't have an internal power source to generate this level of heat. So where is this energy coming from? How can 3I Atlas not only heat itself, but also alter its structure and behavior on a massive scale. This wasn't just some random outburst. This was a controlled event, happening with a precision that defies the laws of physics as we understand them. And that's not all. As the coma expanded, it became clear that this wasn't a random collision or an accidental burst. The object was holding its shape. There was no chaos, no random debris flying in all directions. Instead, it was a perfectly spherical expansion, a level of symmetry we simply don't see in natural objects in space. We're witnessing a transformation on a scale we've never imagined. A comet, something that was once thought to be nothing more than a frozen rock, is now acting like a living, breathing entity, one with power, purpose, and control. It's as if the rules of physics are being rewritten in real time, and we're just starting to understand what's happening. And if we thought this was strange, the next sequence of events was about to raise the stakes even higher. So, as the expansion of 3I Atlas continued, we were left with even more questions. By 5:15 UTC, the data was becoming more and more puzzling. The object was not just growing in size, it was actively accelerating at a pace unlike anything we've ever seen. But here's where things take an even more perplexing turn. As we observed the gas cloud expanding, we expected to see a rapid cooling effect in line with basic thermodynamics. After all, when something as large as 3I Atlas expands in the vacuum of space, it should lose heat rapidly. Instead, the opposite happened. The infrared spectrum captured by the James Webb Space Telescope showed a spike in temperature, and not just a small increase, a massive one. 3I Atlas was now glowing at 800 Kelvin, or 500 degrees Celsius. For those of us familiar with comets, this is an extraordinary finding. In space, far from the warmth of the sun, comets are typically frozen solid. But this was no ordinary comet. Something was generating heat from within, something powerful enough to alter the behavior of a rock that, only a short time ago, was nothing more than a frozen chunk of ice and dust. The object's core was heating up from the inside out. This was no natural process we were witnessing. This was an event that defied every expectation. Let's stop and think about what we're seeing. To generate the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of a 15-kilometer rock to 500 degrees Celsius in under an hour, you'd need an immense power source. We're talking about an amount of energy far exceeding the capabilities of any chemical reaction or natural cosmic phenomenon we know of, and yet 3I Atlas is doing just that, right before our eyes. It's like we're witnessing a force that doesn't belong in the cosmos as we know it. Now, you might think, okay, it's a comet. It might have a few surprises. But this isn't just about heat, it's about control. As the coma expanded, the object maintained perfect symmetry. Normally, when a comet's gas cloud expands, it gets stretched out into a long, uneven tail by solar winds. But not 3I Atlas. Its cloud remained perfectly spherical. This symmetry is important because it suggests that the forces controlling this expansion are highly organized. This isn't random. This isn't chaotic. This is deliberate. The implications of this are profound. If a comet is exhibiting this level of precision and control over its own behavior, what else might be happening? What is guiding it? We are no longer dealing with a typical comet. Something is driving this expansion, something that is almost certainly beyond the capabilities of a frozen rock. And that leads us into the third anomaly that has scientists scratching their heads. The third anomaly emerged as the Atacama Large Millimeter Array, ALMA, in Chile finished its analysis of the massive clouds surrounding 3I Atlas. ALMA, known for its sensitivity, is one of the most powerful radio telescopes on Earth. It had been tasked with searching for the usual signs in the cloud, water, carbon dioxide, and other familiar elements. But what Alma found wasn't anything expected. In fact, it was something never before seen in a comet: metallic vapor. The findings were nothing short of shocking. Alma detected ionized titanium and vaporized iron in the gas cloud. Now, let's pause for a moment to understand why this is so significant. Titanium and iron are heavy metals that don't vaporize unless they reach temperatures of nearly 3,000 degrees Celsius. So, how could a comet, which we know to be a frozen mass of ice and rock, be emitting vaporized metal at this distance from the sun? The sun is too far away to generate this kind of heat, and there is no known friction in space that could explain such extreme temperatures. This is where things start to get truly extraordinary. A comet, by definition, is a frozen body of rock and ice with no internal heat source. It can't generate this kind of power. Yet, the data from 3I Atlas suggests otherwise. Something is happening inside this object, something that's producing enough heat to vaporize metals that would normally require the temperature of a rocket engine or a blast furnace to reach such extremes. Even Dr. Avi Loeb, a leading astrophysicist at Harvard, who has long argued that interstellar objects could be artificial in nature, had a reaction that speaks volumes. He said, "The presence of heavy metallic vapor in a comet's coma at this distance is unprecedented." When a leading expert in the field is surprised, it tells you that what we are seeing is beyond the natural explanations we've been operating under. And this is where we need to take a step back and reframe the entire situation. This discovery opens the door to a new way of thinking. Could 3I Atlas be something more than just a comet? Could it be a piece of technology or something much more advanced than we imagined? Something with a power source that's still beyond our comprehension? And if that's the case, what does it mean for humanity's understanding of the universe? We're witnessing an event that could redefine our entire relationship with space and the forces that govern it. As we analyze this anomaly further, the data keeps pouring in, each piece more perplexing than the last. In the next part, we'll dive into the final set of anomalies that have left scientists reeling and the answers that could reveal the true nature of 3I Atlas. Now, let's recap what we know for certain. At 4 UTC, 3I Atlas was roughly the size of Earth. By 5 UTC, it had expanded to 1.5 million kilometers, dwarfing Jupiter. By 6:15 UTC, it began emitting a rhythmic pulse of light, increasing in intensity every 13.8 minutes. By 7 UTC, it had vaporized metals, including titanium and iron, reaching temperatures far exceeding anything a typical comet could achieve. And at 9:12 UTC, the Hubble Space Telescope confirmed a magnetic field 80 times stronger than Earth's, and a prime number sequence was detected in the radio emissions coming from the object. These are not just theoretical observations. These are documented events verified by NASA, ESA, and 3 independent observatories. This is no longer a matter of what if. This is reality. But there is one question that still looms large in the minds of scientists and astrophysicists alike. Why is the expansion of 3I Atlas perfectly spherical? This might seem like a small detail, but it's anything but. If this were a typical explosion, the cloud of gas would be scattered randomly, unevenly. If this were the result of a collision, we would expect a chaotic mess, with debris flying in all directions. But 3I Atlas is different. Its expansion is perfectly spherical, which suggests that the forces at work are balanced. There is a containment mechanism in place, and that raises a troubling question. What's holding the gas cloud together? In physics, we have a term for this kind of balance: hydrostatic equilibrium. This is what happens in stars when gravity holds everything in place. But 3I Atlas as we know, does not have enough mass to generate this kind of gravity. So, what is holding the gas in place, creating this perfect spherical symmetry? One possibility is a completely new form of interaction, one that could force us to rewrite the textbooks on planetary magnetism. Another, perhaps even more troubling, explanation involves a natural reactor, a georeactor, gone critical inside the core of the comet. This could mean that what we're witnessing is a highly rare, highly powerful event in the universe, something that only occurs in the most extreme conditions. But the scenario that the data points to most strongly is one that has the potential to change everything we know about energy and matter, the creation of a magnetic confinement fusion reactor. Imagine a small-scale version of what we're trying to build on Earth with fusion technology. These reactors are huge. They're the size of buildings. But 3I Atlas has built a fusion reactor the size of a planet in just 1 hour. The implications of this are staggering. If this is indeed a magnetic confinement reactor, we are witnessing a technology far beyond anything humanity has ever conceived of. But there's more. This is not just a random comet. The object is expanding, growing, pulsing, and generating a magnetic field, all of which point to one disturbing possibility. 3I Atlas is not a natural object. It is a piece of advanced technology, capable of manipulating matter and energy on a scale we've never imagined. As we continue to monitor the object, we see more and more signs that it is preparing to do something extraordinary. In less than 4 hours, at the current rate of expansion, the coma of 3I Atlas will cross the orbit of Mars. Telescopes are aimed, detectors are live, the data stream is active. We are no longer just observing a comet. We are witnessing a process, something unfolding right before our eyes. So, what does this mean for us? Is this a natural phenomenon, or is it something much more significant? Is 3I Atlas waking up, refueling, or is it preparing to leave? We don't have all the answers yet, but we are getting closer. As the object expands and the signal grows stronger, the stakes couldn't be higher. Right now, the Parkes Observatory in Australia is tracking the signal. Every 13.8 minutes, the pulse grows louder, the magnetic field intensity is rising, and the object is moving closer. What we're seeing here is not just a comet, it's an event of cosmic proportions. The question we all need to ask ourselves is, what happens next? We are no longer just spectators in this unfolding drama. As the clock ticks down and 3I Atlas approaches the orbit of Mars, we stand at the precipice of a revelation that could change everything we know about the universe. The data is streaming in, the object is continuing its mysterious behavior, and we are watching history unfold. If you want to stay on top of this extraordinary event, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and stay tuned. This is just the beginning of a discovery that will reshape everything we thought we knew about space. 3I Atlas is telling us something, and soon we'll all know what it is. With that, the mystery of 3I Atlas remains one of the greatest puzzles we've ever encountered. But one thing is clear, the laws of physics are being rewritten before our eyes, and we're about to find out just what this means for humanity and our place in the universe. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more updates on this incredible journey. Keep your eyes on the skies. Something extraordinary is happening out there.